Oh,
Okay, you're live.
good question. I am going to assign randomly. Dan, can you take the minutes, please?
I was just about to turn my camera off, so you didn't pick on me.
It's in my upper left box, so it just, I don't know.
She read your mind.
The only benefit of having COVID.
I was going to say, I was
minutes.
ready to pick Liam, and then I was like, oh, come on, I can't ask him to do his COVID.
Poor guy's sick.
Yeah.
Give him a
Yeah,
break.
but Liam's not doing anything else.
Yeah, but I don't know. I know what it's like to have COVID. It's not fun.
Just let me find some paper, but go ahead.
Okay.
Over here.
I'm wondering why Christy, wait, who else is not on? Christy and
Christy's in Oklahoma. She's
Christy's in Oklahoma. Okay.
Yeah, she's away, and I guess Debbie's away.
Debbie's away, yeah.
What about, is Tim still on the committee?
He hasn't officially resigned, but he really he should, because he hasn't been at a meeting in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a guest speaker tonight. Sarah, just bear with us. I just want to get through some admin stuff, and then I'll introduce you and turn it over. But I would like for our trustee to hear your presentation. So I made a motion to start the meeting. Did we get everybody to vote on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, all in favor. Okay,
aye.
Aye.
excellent. Okay, so welcome to our meeting, May 17th, 2022. Hope everybody reviewed our April 2022 minutes. And I'd like to get a motion to approve those minutes.
So move.
Okay, I will second. All in
Aye.
favor? Okay,
I'm gonna vote because I wasn't here.
okay, so yeah, all approved. The other thing I just want to point out is I'm actually arranging or have arranged tours. One is of the Compost Ed site, which is in Valhalla, and that's going to be on June 6th at 10 a.m. So far, 15 people have signed up. We have room for 10 more, and that's, in case you don't know, that's the Westchester County Food Waste Education Center. And I'm told it's a really interesting tour, just 45 minutes. I'd opened it up to the Larchmont and Mamaroneck, Town of Mamaroneck committees, and there was a lot of interest, but love for more people on our own. Debbie and I are going, and I would love if more of us can attend. I think it would just be informative. And then the following week,
June 6th at 10 a.m. in Valhalla.
in Valhalla. And if you're interested, just email me and I'll send you all the info.
Okay,
And then actually the week before, I should have mentioned this, we're seeing the Wheelabrator, which is the incinerator in Peekskill. And that tour is on May 25th at 9:30 a.m. And again, really, it's the same 15 people that signed up. They wanted to do both. So for both tours, they max out at 25. So we can have another. I'm sorry, Lou is calling me again. Hold on. Hi. It's okay. Oh, I emailed it to you. Yeah, check your, it's the same email that when you had emailed me earlier for the agenda. Cliff is there, yeah. Okay. Sure, no problem. All right, Cliff? Cliff?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, could you send Lou the link? He's having difficulty getting on.
Yeah, to his village email.
Yeah,
All right, we'll do.
thank you. Okay, so I think those are going to be two great tours, and I think that it will give us sort of a greater appreciation for why we're so passionate about food scrap recycling. I was attending a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and they showed a film called The Sacrifice Zone. And if you have a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. It's a short documentary, and it's about the incinerator in Newark, New Jersey, and what it's like to live in, a sacrifice zone, because it's a commercial area, but there's residential there, and there's really high rates of asthma and cancer and everything you'd expect living next to an incinerator. And here we have one in Westchester, and there is a movement to try to shut that incinerator down. I don't know what would be put in lieu of that, but food scraps is sort of the easiest thing really to keep out of an incinerator. I mean, my mantra has always been like, food is not trash. And so I just think, it'll sharpen our sort of elevator pitch, I think, by seeing sort of what happens at the incinerator and then hearing, what, the compost ed site. So that's my pitch. I'm just going to move on to the next item, unless anyone has anything on that. But the one thing I've been thinking about for a while is, Bedford has this Tioli shed. It's take it or leave it shed.
Mhm.
And I know that Robert in our, by the food scrap stand always would collect things and people would come. I think they shut him down doing that. But I just think it's a really great idea. Theirs is all volunteer managed and led. So the village isn't even involved. I guess the village just, provides the shed, the space, which is in their train station parking lot. But I just think they have a Facebook group, and it creates engagement and obviously keeps things out of the incinerator. So, I mean, nothing's going to happen tonight on that. I just wanted to throw that out for people to think about if we think that's a good idea to try to take it further. I think we would just really need to get a structure that we could put stuff in, and then we'd have, some kind of sign up genius where people would volunteer time. I mean, in Bedford, it's only open Saturdays from May to October, and it's only 2 hours on Saturdays. So it's not like a big operation, but I think it's sort of a nice thing. Like I know right now I can think of probably 10 things in my house that I'll put in a take it or leave it shed.
So, Ellen, do you know why they shut Robert down from?
They said liability, which I think is, I understand if it's a baby car seat, that I get. But for most items, he had a lot of like what I would call bric-a-brac, like
Little stuff.
Yeah.
little stuff, I honestly don't know. It seems very silly and it was not taking up a lot of space and he was actually
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
So-
great. He said, yeah, I mean, I dropped a bunch of stuff off there and it went really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he would talk it up and he would show me stuff that he had there and sometimes it was nice stuff, a lot of like glassware and dishes and
Yeah.
I don't
I mean,
know.
they shut it down during COVID, right? Is that kind of
Um,
when it disappeared?
I don't know, Renee. I don't know. But I asked him and he said, well, it was a liability issue. Because I was telling him the idea of having this take it or leave it shed, because I thought he would be perfect to sort of be the guy. And then that's when he said,
Oh.
it's a liability issue. And then I looked closer into how Bedford operates. And I guess that their village isn't really involved. It's really a volunteer initiative. So,
Okay.
They have a lot of these like in small town dumps, like on the vineyard or wherever people
Yeah.
vacation and just out west, Midwest, that kind of thing.
yeah.
It's
I think
basically
it's a really-
recycling stuff to people who need it or want it or whatever.
Right, when things are in good condition and, because sometimes it's, you could post on next door, somebody may come and pick it up, but that could be a little difficult with schedules and all that, I don't know. So I'm just putting that out there, maybe something that we could, talk further about it at some point.
I think
Helen,
it's a good idea.
This is another thing. If somebody goes onto the village website and clicks on this meeting and sees this meeting on their Zoom, they can be promoted, as I understand. I mean, to get Lou into the meeting. I gather that's possible. Cliff would know, but it seems like we should, have Lou here.
I think Lou's the one that has to promote because he's the host.
Okay, all right.
I
Okay,
don't honestly, I don't know why he's not on the meeting right now. I can't really comment.
all
He's
right,
he's on a learning curve these days. So.
Yeah.
all right.
Anyway, we are fortunate to have Sarah Powell with us. She was supposed to be here at our last meeting when we had so many technical difficulties that we didn't even have our meeting. And then we had gotten rescheduled for the next week, but so Sarah, thank you for being here. And Sarah reached out to me actually when I had COVID and she introduced herself to me and then we were able to meet in person because I attended a really interesting event in person at the Jay Heritage Center. It was about living shorelines and there was a number of speakers and it was basically about, ways to enhance coastal resilience and improve sort of the ecology of our waterways. And Nancy Seligson was there, Shelley Mayer was there, Steve Otis was there, Catherine Parker was there. And
I was there.
and I know, yes, of course, Kate was there. And I know that Kate and I learned a lot, and it was
Together, it
nice
was
being in
great.
person. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, because I think that your I guess area of work is Westchester County. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
You're sort of a point person. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
No, thanks for having me. And I'm realizing I can't, there's no chat. So I was there's a recording
Oh.
of that event. Or I can't see the chat if there is. So I can follow up with an email, or Ellen, if you haven't gotten it yet. There is a recording of that event if
Okay.
folks want to tune in and see it. But yeah, no, thank you for having me. As Ellen said, my name is Sarah Powell. I've got a couple slides just so you don't have to only look at me. Let me figure out how to share them with you. You'd think 2 years in now I'd be ready to go, but I just have too many windows open. So let me can you see?
Yeah, you're good.
That looks like the wrong thing. Do you see a map or my
No,
slides?
We see your cover
Slide.
page.
You see my slides? Okay. Maybe
It looks like your cover page.
perfect. Yes, name. Yes. Okay, perfect. Then I will keep moving forward. So yeah, so again, thank you for having me. Yes, so I am Sarah Powell. I'm working as the extension professional for Westchester County on behalf of New York Sea Grant and the Long Island Sound Study, and specifically their sustainable and resilient communities theme. So I don't know, I wanted to just jump in, and I don't know how familiar all of you are with New York Sea Grant or Long Island Sound Study. Sorry for that sound, that's my garage door opener right beneath me. But New York Sea Grant is a joint, wow, my computer has a mind of its own, there we go, a joint program of Cornell University, the State University of New York, and NOAA. And so New York Sea Grant provides a statewide network of really integrated research, education, and extension services throughout the state's marine and Great Lakes waterways. And so, we really aim to help promote coastal community, vitality, environmental sustainability, and awareness and understanding about all the wonderful resources that New York has. And so then Long Island Sound Study is a national estuary program that was created by the EPA, and it's jointly administered between the EPA and the states of New York and Connecticut. And so that partnership and the program really aims to protect and restore the Long Island Sound, its entire watershed. And so the work of the Long Island Sound Study is guided by something called a CCMP, which stands for Comprehensive Conservation and Management Plan. And this is a really big document, but basically it's aimed at, guiding work and achieving goals based on these 4 themes you see here. So, clean waters, healthy watersheds, restored and thriving habitats for wildlife and people, sustainable resilient communities, and sound science and inclusive management. So I've been in this role since late last year. I think that the sustainable and resilient communities theme, in the past couple of years, there was a recognition of, maybe not as much progress on that theme as the others. And so a work group was put together to try to figure out, okay, what do we need to do? What are our goals here? And they created a 5-year work plan. And the number one task in that work plan was to hire 5 sustainable and resilient communities extension professionals. So these stars on this map here represent myself and my colleagues. So there's 2 folks working for Connecticut Sea Grant, and they're covering roughly Eastern and Western Connecticut between the 2 of them. I'm here in Westchester County, and then I have 2 colleagues out on Long Island in Nassau and Suffolk counties, who are also my New York Sea Grant colleagues. So we, as extension professionals, are working in support, again, of the Sustainable Resilient Communities theme, which is really aimed at supporting the communities, along this coastal watershed of Long Island Sound in order to help them use, appreciate, and help protect the sound. And so as extension professionals, we're really looking to provide resources and guidance that are going to help all of our coastal communities to address climate impacts and other challenges they might be facing. And that work plan that I mentioned is sort of organized around the 5 priorities you see here. So our work is intended to help, have a better coordinated regional response to climate change issues, have better trained community decision makers, help with infrastructure planning and improvements, and really to help facilitate implementation of projects and initiatives that are going to increase our community's sustainability and resilience and ensure viability of government services moving forward. So as I said, our main, our work, we have this work plan that we've inherited and is guiding our work for the next few years. And just to give you an idea of kind of what we intend to do or are doing, year one right now, our major tasks are getting out and meeting our communities, which is why I'm super excited to be here today and meet all of you and learn more about, what's going on in the Village of Mamaroneck. We're conducting an informal needs assessment, really just having discussions and trying to get to know and understand kind of what's going on in our communities. And then use that information will really drive kind of everything else. The other major task we're working on in year one is working to put together what we're calling a clearinghouse. That won't be its final name. I don't think we've heard that term maybe is not the most user-friendly, but really we're trying to organize tools and resources that are needed by our communities, wanted, that are going to be useful to them and helpful. There's a lot of information out there and it can be confusing to know where to go. So that's kind of the other big piece that we're doing. And then in subsequent years, again, guided by what we're learning about what is needed and wanted, we're going to be looking to hold annual bi-state workshops to bring together municipalities and communities from across both New York and Connecticut to be able to receive training and network and learn from each other and try to find opportunities for everyone to work together where appropriate. Again, be delivering training programs and hopefully creating a project pipeline. So having projects in various stages of readiness and type ready to go for different funding opportunities that become available. And ultimately really working to help break down barriers that our communities are facing. So, I'm here tonight. I want to talk to y'all and kind of learn more. And, what I really want to know is how we can help support the Village of Mamaroneck, in whatever sustainability and resilience efforts you might be taking on, kind of what are y'all concerned about, what's happening or not happening, what kind of barriers are you facing, what support do you need to overcome them? I think ultimately, like I said, my goal as an extension professional is to help, deliver whatever types of training or resources that I can and connect you, with other people that can also assist with whatever you may need. So I had a slide in here before from back in April. We can talk a little bit about different funding opportunities. There is an annual grant program, the Long Island Sound Futures Fund. Hopefully you've heard of it. I know that Mamaroneck has been successful in the past in getting funding, but that grant program is administered by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And it really is tailored at funding projects that help achieve those 4 goals of the CCNP that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation. So, in that sustainable and resilient communities theme, we welcome, projects of any type that are contribute to the health and well-being of Long Island Sound. But under that sustainable and resilient communities theme, this can be things like projects to increase public engagement and stewardship of natural resources, putting together state native plant landscaping guidance or training, planning or implementation for different green infrastructure projects to maybe help control stormwater and have other benefits. So yeah, we could talk more about funding, but
thank you.
That's pretty much my spiel. And these are kind of, what I'd love to, if we have time, I don't know how much time we have for discussion. I can also follow up later, but this is kind of the information I'm hoping to get in order to, again, in the later this year and subsequent years, be able to tailor, the assistance and training programs that we are providing. I think that there's been an influx of funding available to Long Island Sound in the past few years, which is fantastic. And, our program in particular, as we think about how to break down barriers, we're in the planning stages right now, trying to implement the first year of a breaking down barriers program where we're looking to provide some funding support to communities and municipalities to help with grant writing. We've heard that, some of, just having some assistance and funds available to even enable grants to be written for some of these projects may be helpful. And that program may change over the years, but that's just one example of one way that we're going to be thinking about trying to help communities take on some of these projects. So I can leave this slide up for discussion. I think here's my contact information. Please do, reach out if we run out of time or if you think of something later. But yeah, I want to open it up for either questions or discussion. That's me in a nutshell, but I know I kind of talk fast sometimes. So please let me know if you have questions.
Sarah, thank you. Lou, glad you made it on. I just want to introduce you to Sarah Powell. She is our Westchester liaison to the Long Island Sound Study. And as she said, she was supposed to be here back in April to tell us about grant opportunities. Those happen once a year. We sort of missed the boat this year, so to speak, but we should be in touch, I'd say early in 2023 to try for the next round. But in the meantime, you know, it's good that she knows us and we know her. Sarah, I just want to ask you, are you, so I think I asked you this question before, but I just want to confirm. So obviously we're concerned with the sound, but we also, you know, have rivers here that we worry about because of flooding. Is that something that you also get involved with us?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, yeah, anything within the Long Island Sound watershed, which would definitely include, you know, the Mamaroneck, the Sheldrake, all of that. I'm going to come to the meeting tomorrow night.
I was just going to ask you that. That's great. I'm
yeah.
glad you're attending. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
perfect.
going to come and listen and learn. So yeah, definitely. It doesn't
Okay,
have to be
awesome.
just along the coastline.
Yeah,
Anything.
I'm glad
within that
you're plugged
watershed.
into the meeting tomorrow night. I think that'll be important.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to learning more. And I can also send after this is over. I have another list of, I mean, you know, the Long Island Sound Futures Fund is just one grant opportunity, but you're right. You know, I mean, they're due in 2 days and it's not the kind of grant that you can really put together in 2 days. So you're right that we should circle back on that one, but there are other ones. There are state grant opportunities open right now, you know, depending on what you may or may not be looking for funding for, but I have a list of other funding opportunities that I'd be happy to share. So you can take a look at it and see if, you know, you have any thoughts or questions about them.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions?
Sarah, Dan Fishnick, along those lines, it seems that there's a lot of garbage that in the flooding season, you know, when the rivers flood, that just comes down the rivers and right into the harbor. And so there's so much crap and garbage in there. So we've been trying to figure out how to prevent some of that from getting into the sound and into the harbor. So that might be one project that we'd be in, you know, I'd be interested in anyway. I won't speak for everybody else.
Great. Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I'd be happy to, you know, make some connections. So prior to taking on this role, I worked in New York City for a number of years as the Urban Waters Ambassador for the Harlem and Bronx Rivers Urban Waters Federal Partnership. It's a mouthful. But just to say that, so I've worked a lot with the Bronx River Alliance, who's done a lot of work around floatable pollution and working with community members, but, you know, both to remove it and assess it and trying to figure out strategies for abating it. So I'd be happy to put you in touch with those folks or share some resources from them. But that's good to know that this is a concern.
Sarah, a quick question, Lou Young, and I apologize for being so late.
No, that's all right.
I was
Nice
at
to
another
meet you.
meeting, and I'm technically incompetent, so dangerous combination. Do you have any anxiety about what the Army Corps might do to help us with our flood as far as the sound goes? Is something you're looking for?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I have to say, I don't know that I'm looking forward to attending the meeting tomorrow night to kind of learn more. I've skimmed some of the stuff online. I don't know that I'm informed enough yet to have anxiety or not. I'm very interested to see, you know, what it is that they're proposing to do. I know this has been a long time coming. So I think off the top of my head, my question would be, you know, is this plan, I'm curious to see what's in the plan, if there's any thought to using like green infrastructure techniques or not. I mean, it's the Army Corps, so I'm assuming probably not, but you never know.
Well, the task is to get water out of the flood zone quickly. So and it goes to the sound. So to that end, we're now cleaning, and we're going to do some dredging in the rivers. That gets some people upset as well. There's a lot of as Dan was mentioned. There's a lot of trash and garbage in the rivers and debris that's come down. We're attacking it, but you know, everything flows toward the sound. So I'm just wondering if you have any things you're worried about. That's all.
Gotcha. I don't know. I think I'll have to circle back to that, you know, at this moment, no, but probably just because I don't know enough quite yet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more.
Well, Lou, I think to follow on your question, I guess one thing I'm wondering about is, I don't know if this Army Corps plan is baked, that it is what it is, or if it has room for change, because I think that we're all hearing from certain corners and reading about that maybe dredging isn't the answer.
Oh, no, dredging, there is no answer. There are multiple answers to our problem. So that's the issue. But listen, the snipers are out on our flood mitigation, but they've done nothing for so long that we just got to get to it. We got I mean, the rivers are like 3 inches deep in some places. It's going to flood, if you don't make it deeper. It's just the way it is.
So that's not so much dredging, that's making the channel bigger. Like, I think that's a slightly different thing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Kind of the same thing, but
it is. You're pulling stuff out of the river and you're taking it away. It's you can call it whatever you like, but it's not it's not just leaving it there. So all these things, all these parallel efforts that that the mayor and I are determined to accomplish are going to have some other impacts, and but the urgent matter is to prevent the water from pooling where people live and putting their lives in danger. So that's task number one.
Yeah.
So that's what Sarah, I'll look for you at the meeting tomorrow. I'll be there. And I want to know what you think afterwards. If you'll try to seek me out, I'll try to remember what you looked like. I think it'll be hard to forget. And
I need to find a mask so you can recognize me. Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be there as well, Sarah. I'll see you there too.
Everything's got a downside, but this is a critical situation we're dealing with the flooding. Absolutely critical.
Sure.
And anyone on the committee who didn't sign up, it's actually sold out, but you can live stream it through LMC TV. And if you have time, I really hope everyone can tune in. It's 7 p.m.
I just gave up my ticket, so there might be spare one.
Yeah, there is a wait list. Oh, it's good that you did that, Liam. Yeah. Okay.
And some people with tickets won't be there. They're not. I don't know that they're going to be. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's not going to be. It's going to be. They're going to fill the place. They're going to fill the place, and there's an overflow. And the main thing is that we hear the information that's coming from the Army Corps.
Yeah, I think like Ellen said, I'm curious sort of how set in stone the project is. I mean, as you said, number one needs to be protecting people's lives and livelihoods. But I think for me, the question is with an expenditure and investment, this large. Sorry if you can hear, it's toddler bath time, so it's a little noisy in my house. But with an expenditure and investment this large, sort of how, obviously, like I said, that's number one. But to what degree is it possible to incorporate things that potentially are not, the Army Corps and the Army Corps wheelhouse, but that we all understand now are important, like, access to the river, sort of stuff like that, use of green infrastructure. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what they say.
And Sarah, the good news is that we can that we're not being asked to participate our $8 million worth. So we've been essentially given an $8 million gift from the federal government, and I know some people want to just put that in the bank, but I want to spend it on parallel efforts to make that program, less traumatic, because I keep telling people this is going to be like a knee replacement. It's not going to be a lot of fun, but it's necessary. Otherwise, we won't be able to walk.
So I guess
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Sure. No, please.
So I attended that meeting and spoke briefly with Nancy Seligson, who I know from years ago, and when I was on the coastal zone in Larchmont, and so she suggested Larchmont Harbor. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there was a section of it, what this referred to as the West Basin, that was some years ago. They removed the seawall and they put in Spartina grass and native species, and basically reconstructed the ecology there. And she was saying that this Long Island Sound money could do something, similar in the rest of the basin. The walls are quite eroded. So I don't know, that would, be quite a big project. And, there might be, again, people that were opposed because it means you're taking down the seawall and creating a kind of a natural edge. And it is a harbor too. So I don't know, Ellen, if you think that's a good idea and something that we should pursue.
I actually love the idea, Kate. I just think that it can't be before the whole river discussion. I think that's first and
Yeah,
foremost.
okay.
But I agree with you. If before any money is spent to refortify that seawall, we should consider
Mhm.
changing it to be a natural wall. I totally agree with you.
Okay, well, just given that, we've missed the deadline, and I guess the next one for the Long Island study money will be in a year's time. But, putting all of this material together can take quite a while. Not a year, but, I'm just throwing it out there as something to think about.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I have also heard from Nancy and maybe others that like looking at the West Basin portions of that, putting in a living shoreline like that, I think that is the type of project that would be super well received by the Futures Fund if that is a priority and of interest to the village. And I think hopefully you've all have heard about the Living Shoreline project over at Edith Reed that the county is working on right now. So there's basically I don't want to say a renewed, but there's a lot of interest, I think, in living shorelines and sort of that acknowledgement of, as you said, there are a lot of seawalls and, those come to when they're coming to the useful end of their life, like they're going to have to be repaired or replaced and, kind of looking back to nature and trying to figure out ways to get multiple benefits out of that work. I think that would be super well received. And like you said, you have a little bit of time to think about that and pull stuff together. And that's something we could certainly keep talking about. And I could,
Kate, I'm happy to work with you on that down the road.
And to see if, we'd have to see, if the village itself was on board, because, it might change things a little bit in the harbor. I don't know. Though I will say that the area by the seawall there is really very shallow. The water's not too deep, so I don't know. But, every time we have a big storm, the waves come over and, they form those ponds, in Harbor Island Park. Big, these bodies of water there that, and the whole seawall is being eroded. But yeah, so let's talk about that.
All right.
So Sarah,
Okay.
I have a more general question. This is David Freeman. We have two long-term initiatives within the committee that I'm curious as to see what the Sea Grant program does or how it connects to. One is that we are a climate smart community. We're trying to improve our climate smart credentials and get more points and move up in the, getting higher levels of accreditation. We also have in the process of doing, not we as a committee, but the village is in the process of adopting a new comprehensive plan, which has some sustainability and resilience features to it. I'm wondering how the Sea Grant program in general would interact with either of those initiatives.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So in fact, myself and my colleagues are actually having a meeting soon. We've had an initial meeting, but we're actually interacting with those climate smart community coordinators to try to, because there is some overlap between our programs and just figure out the best ways for us to work together. And I think probably the best way to say it is that our program is very supportive of that climate smart communities program. And I think, to the extent that we're able to provide any resources or help you in any way on those pieces you're working on to advance up the ranking system, we definitely want to do that. As far as the comprehensive plan, I definitely would be interested to know more about that timeline. That's great that it's got pieces to it. And I think that type of plan is what is really useful when you're applying to things like the Long Island Sound Futures Fund, to be able to point to say, our village is really committed to achieving these goals as part of our comprehensive plan. That's why we're coming to you for this money, because we definitely, I think that's a really helpful thing to be able to point to. I'm sorry, I may have to just step outside.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think
what's happening.
we have I'll let you go, Sarah. I'm gonna email you. David, it's interesting you saying that, because I was gonna put her in touch with Neil, as well as I think that she should get to know Tony Gelber, who's on the, who heads the flood committee. I think those are two good people for Sarah to get to know.
Sarah,
And-
I just want to make sure I've got your email. It's slp285@cornell.edu, and it's Cornell with 2 L's.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did step away for like 30 seconds, but slp285@cornell, 2 L's, yep, .edu. That's me.
Okay, and I'll see you tomorrow night too, because I'm going to go down to the Army Corps. I have a ticket for the Emmeline as well.
Oh,
And
perfect.
bringing along one of my pals whose his house down by Grove Street was very badly damaged. So,
Sarah, I'm gonna put you in touch with the consultant that we use for our comprehensive plan. It had been put on hold and it's now been brought back to life, and also somebody that heads up our flood committee. I think that you should just know both of them. If they're not there tomorrow night, I'll give you emails and put you guys in touch, but I will let you sign off. We appreciate your time very much.
Okay, yeah, I'm so sorry about that. No, that would be
We all remember
fantastic.
those days, so.
yeah.
Yeah, no, well, great. Well, then, yeah, I'll look
Been
forward to
there.
hopefully seeing some of you tomorrow. And yeah, I very much, if you have other thoughts, please let me know. Like I said, I want to be a resource to all of you. And yeah, Ellen, thanks for putting me in touch with folks. And yeah, I would love to stay in touch and, share more information about living shorelines if that's helpful, or whatever you guys might need. Or maybe, we can talk again after this meeting tomorrow night about what we think about what the Army Corps is doing.
Yeah.
But no, that would be great. It was really nice to meet all of you. Thanks
You
for,
too. Well,
thanks
thank
for letting
you.
me have this time.
We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Okay. As I said earlier, the meeting that we attended, Kate and I attended, Sarah actually wasn't one of the speakers, but it really was fascinating hearing about what's being done sort of around this, Long Island Sound for these living shorelines. I thought it was fascinating. So we should definitely, keep our eye out for any funding and just get a little smarter on that. I'm going to move ahead. I was hoping that Jerry was going to be joining us. I think he was hoping to do, or he said he was going to. So I guess he wasn't able to, but Dan and I think it was last Friday, had a meeting with Jerry and Brandon Jacobs from Blink, which is the manufacturer of EV charging stations. And it was actually a really good meeting. I did attach the presentation that Brandon used with the agenda, so I hope people had a chance to sort of look through that. And Jerry seems all in that the village having only 2 EV, for a village with 20,000 people, having 2 EV charging stations that really aren't even like in clear view of people. Most people don't even know that they're there, is insufficient. And we really should have more like 10 at least. So we talked about, sort of resident or visitor friendly, where they're maybe on the avenue or in places that people would go, maybe the harbor. And then he was talking about that the village itself, as they transition to electric equipment, they may want some charging stations at the DPW. So the nice thing about Blink is that there's a range of models where you can, for example, it's there's one that's just sort of turnkey. They provide it, they build it, they provide the electricity, they maintain it, and we don't spend a dime, and we get about 5% of the revenue. And then there's other models where we could be the owner operator. So it sounds like Jerry sort of wanted to do some of each. But I was hoping that we could sort of move this forward with a resolution, that we are proposing that they move forward with Blink for X number, and we could, talk about specifically what locations we think are appropriate. Or we could talk more about this and do this, next month. But I think that we have Jerry's attention. He seems to be really focused on this and really wanting to move forward. There was grant money last year. That money is no longer there. And in some ways, I think that would have slowed down the process because, as we know from the grant we worked on, those things can take a lot of time and, man hours to sort of go through all that those machinations to get a grant. And so maybe it's just better, if, you know, this is the business of Blink. They did this, I think it was in Tuckahoe, Dan, they just,
Yeah, I think so.
they installed a
One of
bunch
the river
Tuckahoe
towns.
by the train station.
Mhm.
And again, they will just come and install them, run the electric and maintain them.
Yeah.
And,
So Ellen, just so a little detail. So
Sure.
there's different, you already said it, but so Blink could do, install it, maintain it, and the village gets like 5% of the revenues. Or the village could purchase them. I think there were, what did you say, $7,000 or
yeah,
something like that. But, you know, Jerry really doesn't want to put any more strain on the DPW in terms of, or whomever, just to have to maintain these. And, you know, so he's talking about at the DPW and possibly the police station, because they can't even buy electric vehicles if they don't have the chargers. So he's saying, you know, and we do have we heard, and he was going to check into it, there was a $93,000 grant from a few years ago that the village had gotten, and I think Larchmont got it as well, towards the use of the chargers. And so he might be, well, you know, he might want to own some of them, especially related to the village, you know, trucks and police cars, et cetera, and then possibly in the parking lots and things like that around town, you know, then have Blink just take it on as a, you know, just oversee it and, you know, really own them. And then and basically the village would lease the spots or whatever. But and if technology changes, Blink would change with it. You know, it's in their interest to get as many people to use the chargers if they sort of are in charge of them. So, you know, as Ellen said, Jerry was very much interested in it. We had talked about down at the harbor between boaters and tennis players might be a, you know, they might, you know, you have electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are coming. You know, all the manufacturers, if the chip shortage ever ends, I think will, you know, there are more and more manufacturers going to make them. We talked about in Phillips Park parking lot behind what was and will become the movie theater and the old CVS back there in that parking lot. Low income neighbors or apartment complexes do need them. So we talked about one side of Columbus Park. Jerry had brought up St. Vito's parking lot. I guess there are people back further, people back there. So, you know, I think the locations themselves can be determined, but I think it's high time we kind of, you know, improve the technology and increase the amount of chargers that we have around town.
Where are the current ones, Dan? I know there's
Across
one,
from the village police station, there's a parking garage,
right?
and tucked
Okay.
in there on the bottom are two chargers. But
Okay.
I don't
That's
think
it?
anybody, very few people know about them. You know,
I've
there's-
seen that one and I have seen cars using it because I walked by there. Is there another one, another
Nope.
location?
They're two together. They're like a
So that
dual
counts as two. Okay.
charging
That's
station.
not a lot.
I just
The
drove
good news
by.
is, okay, the good news is that the cars know where they are.
Yeah, we have an
Smart.
electric car. We charge at home
Yeah.
usually.
We talked about also people that Blink has a website or an app that, as well as Google Maps, and there's another site that show people where the chargers are. So if somebody's coming off 95 and they're low, they might get attracted, you know, might come off to and eat in a restaurant or, you know, bring some retail traffic, you know, just because they need to top off or whatever. So it sounds like a win-win, and it may not cost the village very much money at all. So that was the gist of it.
I think that's very exciting.
Is there a proposal that, Ellen, that you want us to vote on tonight?
well, I don't know how specific we have to be, David. I think we definitely want to propose that the village move forward with Blink. For, I don't know, we have a hard number, Dan. I know Jerry was tossing around a number of 10.
Mhm.
So each you know, each station that they build has 2 charging units on it.
dual port.
I guess
Oh, thank you.
the question would be for Lou is what do you need us to do to get this moving in terms of the village board?
Send me you just a little statement. The Committee for the Environment would like the Board of Trustees to commit to an electric vehicle charging station plan, including at least, give some parameters. And you can say whatever you like, and they'll trust me, they'll tinker with it, and then they'll instruct the staff.
Okay, and
I
I
mean,
can
do-
tell everybody, I could tell everyone that Jerry is waiting for this, like he
Okay.
is expecting us
So
to do this.
suppose I made a motion that said that the Committee for the Environment endorses the idea of the village board moving forward with Blink on 5 to 10 new charging stations and developing a plan to do that. Is that good enough for you?
Sure. Do you want to at least some of them to be put on the avenue?
David, could we just expand on that just to say that some would be for use by the public and some would be for the village's own use?
Fine.
Okay,
I mean, Lou, we're not opposed to Mamaroneck Avenue. The question is parking is so scarce as it is. Is that going to cause a bigger problem? I think it would be good to have it on the avenue just so that it's more accessible. But are we
Well, say
taking?
you like to put them on the avenue and they'll hash it out.
All right. Should we give specific locations or?
No, I think
I wouldn't.
I
no.
think we should
I wouldn't
keep
either,
it general. We should keep it general and let the people that are really knowledgeable about it figure out what the best locations are.
Yeah.
or alternatively, maybe we could just, as an exhibit to that resolution, just put some proposed sites.
You can, sure.
Because
Why
we've
not?
talked about the same sites over and over, so why don't at least that they have at the next meeting or whatever meeting this comes on the agenda, that they could talk about the specific sites, whether it's on the avenue or behind on Phyllis Park, one at the DPW, one at the harbor. I think that we should just have a list because we've talked about it and we've thought about it.
Just, I
And
mean,
then maybe you could send, David, I'm just
Yeah,
assuming
I
you're
can
writing
put
this,
put something together.
so maybe you could just, send it to David.
all right. And then I'll put it on the work session agenda.
Okay.
God knows if they'll get to it. And we'll just keep plugging along. I mean,
My experience with
Can I
Jerry,
make a point of order?
sure.
yeah,
I made a motion. Somebody needs to second it. We need to vote on it.
I will second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And Lou, to your point, my experience with Jerry is when he gets focused on something, it somehow tends to happen. So I have faith that this will.
I agree.
Um,
I agree, but I don't know
adopt it
how thin
soon?
his patience is getting. I really don't.
Okay, well, he seemed very. he seemed
Enthusiastic.
Very enthusiastic and felt that, it was high time that we do this, so.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. So let's
Great
move on to our next agenda item, if that's okay. So just under the Healthy Yards subcategory, there's always a few things in there. So the leaf blower ordinance is now in effect. Despite that, I keep seeing them being used, but we do have a tri-municipal meeting set up for May 24th. I was approached by Larchmont, interestingly, as I think we know they have the most strict ban, I think, in the country. And I think they're trying to get, sort of safety in numbers. And if we all have the same ordinance, then maybe they won't, it'll be easier for the landscapers to sort of get on board. But I don't see us going all the way there, but it will certainly be an interesting meeting. And actually Jeff On will be at the meeting, which I think is great. He's the head of the Parks Department, and I think it'll be
Well,
really good
then
to
I
have.
said I would join you, so make sure you put me on the link, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Ellen, when is it? May 25th?
It's May 24th at 11 a.m. Yeah, I could just send it out to the whole committee and whoever can make it, please join us.
Good idea.
I think it'll be an interesting discussion. I'm not going to get into the Mayor Monarch pledge stuff. We talked about it last time, and I don't think much has advanced on that. One of the things, I know this was Mandy's idea, and I would love for her to be on this call, but we talked about whether we should propose a resolution for the village to only allow native plantings on village-owned property. The county has an executive order by Latimer that's the case on county land.
Mhm.
And I would certainly be in favor of this. I don't know why we wouldn't do this. I know the tree committee is sort of focused on native trees. So it's something that maybe we should give more thought to, but I do think it's an interesting idea.
Mhm.
You
I'd
know,
actually like to hear from the tree committee on this, because
okay,
it'd be interesting to know what we'd actually be precluded from planting on village property if we pass this kind of ordinance.
okay, I'll reach out to Beverly.
But I mean, it's not, we're not talking about trees, we're talking about, perennials. Basically, natives are perennials. The only thing would really preclude you would be when you want to do like shows of these annual type plants, whatever it might be, like it could be petunias or something like that. Might not be, annuals could be off the list. You know what I mean? Usually the natives are perennials.
And not as showy. They're generally not as showy.
Yeah, they're not as showy. So, I could imagine a scenario where they might want to pop some, some of those pansies or whatever it is, or petunias in a spot to brighten it up. And, I would have no objection to that here and there, but, it saves water. There's lots of good reasons to do it. And, I don't really, I personally don't think the tree committee, they deal with trees. This is plants, so.
Okay. Well, wait, it would apply to trees, wouldn't it?
They're already focused on planting native trees, in their own personal mandate. This is like, in these gardens all over the place,
Right, so we could focus this on, on just native plantings, which is the, the flowers and the shrubs. I guess it would have to be carefully worded, right, Kate? Because we wouldn't, to your point, sometimes around some of the memorials around town, we see like there is some, and that's pretty and it's
You want
festive.
pansies or something, and we're not gonna, go to court over
So
pansies.
we'd have to think about how we'd want to word that. So I think we should come back to that. But I think the general sense is that when we can, we should like just the two things, I think some of you just planted in Columbus Park, right?
Yeah.
And those were all natives, right?
Those were all natives, yeah.
So when do we think we'll see the full effect of that?
Oh, it takes a while for those to establish.
Like,
So I would say what, a couple of years, Kate, before you really.
oh, a few years? Wow.
Well, I mean, some of them are there now, some of them are in flower
I mean, they're
now.
flowering right now.
Yeah,
but-
they're in
but
flower.
It's a
It's
little
not-
sparse.
Okay,
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you don't plant huge things, you give it a chance to grow too.
Yeah,
okay.
because the natives will spread
Yeah,
mean,
that's
right.
it.
by their nature. So that's,
They'll fill up the place and it'll be, full of blooms and flowers.
Okay.
And, sure, you might want to throw some little, something bright, some petunias, what have you, in the front there. And, we'd be able, with exceptions for, whatever we'll give that a name, like spots of color, with annuals, that would be allowed. Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, just, I'm a neophyte with all this. Is it, and I don't want to call this work for anybody, but is there a way to do a little demonstration or pictures of what native plants look like? And, and if no one wants to do, I could look it up myself, but.
You know what, I think
would
that's a
that-
great
would that
idea.
help people?
I think that's actually a really great idea. Why don't we try to think about that for the next meeting?
Okay.
You and Mandy come up with something, 'cause I'm a neophyte too. I mean, I've learned a lot from these women this year, a lot. And I planted some stuff. God knows what it's gonna be like in my yard this year. But yeah, I think that would be really instructive. So,
I hate to be a downer, but there are a number of people who believe that what's native and has been native may not be native very soon because of climate change.
oh yeah.
So we might want to think about what's going to grow here in the future. I mean, there's some thought about thinking about the next native plants.
Mm.
Just a thought. I don't mean to throw monkey wrench in anybody's.
We could do is like, to make life easy, the Native Plant Center at Westchester Community College runs demonstration gardens. Just
Mhm.
take some pictures of those, or I'll go on the web and send you some of those pictures so you can see how beautiful it is. And usually the way it works with plants, Lou, is, what you're saying is true, that some things that used to maybe be here 20 years ago aren't doing as well. And 20 years in the future, I'm not sure these plants and shrubs are going to last that long. But, but they go in zones also. So then you might, if you're going, say, I don't remember what the zones are, but zone 5 to 7, maybe you'd skew it a little bit zone wise to accommodate future
Right.
change. I don't really see that as.
It's certainly already happening with animals. We're seeing animals here that, I mean, so plants are, if we can even notice it, then it's happening very fast.
Yeah, the city of Chicago, I think, came up with a proposal to plant trees that will survive 20 years from now. So,
Yeah.
so we might want to plant some palm trees in Harbor Island.
I'll tell you, I mean, I'd never seen an egret in New York until I moved back from Florida. I mean, when I went on to Florida, I saw an egret for the first time. I said, "Oh, and then I came back years later, and now they're here. And I guess they always were here to some point, but there are a lot of them here now. Anyway,
Well, they're
sorry.
staying longer. They're staying longer
Yeah,
because it's warmer.
and the geese never leave.
No, they don't.
They don't. And then just another location that we're gonna be planting natives is at the West Basin. Beverly and I did a lot of weeding last week, and I think next week there's gonna be plantings of natives, which will be nice.
That's the Harbor
So we're
Island.
trying,
Is that
yeah,
by the stone building there?
The pump house, is that, yeah, by the pump house?
it's by the
Ellen?
pump house at the entrance of Orienta.
Yeah, I saw
So,
her. I
we're
saw
trying
her
to find little
tilling.
pockets of areas that are ripe, for, that kind of planting. Do you know where that is, Dan?
Yeah, no, I saw her. I saw her weeding and getting the plot ready.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of work. Oof.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I'm gonna skip over No Mo May because Mandy's not here, but suffice to say, I think she got fairly good traction with that. And, it's one of those things I'd never heard about it. And now I feel like I just keep seeing stuff about it all the time.
New York Times keeps putting article after article. Like,
I
there's
know,
this
I
place,
think it's
they're
really
amazing.
gaining traction.
Yeah.
And all across the country and in the UK, and I think it's interesting. And I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but Renee, I don't know if you've noticed the meridians in Orienta. It looks like they're not being mowed, and I don't know if it's part of like the No Mo May or people just aren't coming through here. But things have gotten really high. So.
Well, I just like to say, I think it's really great that we have this initiative that's got a name on it, because as you go up and down, even with my neighbors, most of my neighbors keep their yards pretty trim, So, I'm able to point to that and say, yeah, that's what we're doing here. This is deliberate. It's not just because we dropped the ball. And, I mean, what would really be great is maybe next year, if we could have some little signage about it so that people could sign in their yard. So, people didn't go, oh, look at that,
Right, they don't think it's just
Well,
neglect.
they ran
That's
out
a
of
good
money
idea.
or they fired the landscaper,
Yeah.
they,
And Larchmont actually reached out to us about wanting to do something together next year. They were interested in it. But I love the idea of the sign, right? So people don't think it's just neglect. And it's funny, I know this woman who lives in, I guess it's considered Larchmont. And I know that she's a landscaper, and she wrote something on Nextdoor today, which I thought was hysterical, like saying, I just want my neighbors to know what's going on in my yard. She's trying to create a meadow, but I think things sort of went wrong because she didn't have enough time to tend to it. And I haven't driven by it, but it sounds like it's kind of a mess. So it's like a work in progress, but I think she felt like she had to give like a public apology. So, this stuff could, it's trial and error, I'm sure. Okay, so let's just do a little recap of Clean and Green. I'll give sort of my impressions, and I'd love to hear from everybody else, but I think that I've never had a rain date before. And not only was it a rain date, it was like pushed to the next weekend. And despite that, I think we had a really, really nice turnout. We had 160 people sign up. But in terms of who signed up at the harbor, we had 95 people. And then David, you said you probably had about a dozen at Shore Acres. And I think there was people at Florence Park that didn't come to the harbor. And that was a big sign up area. And then I think at Washingtonville, there were people that didn't come to the harbor. So I think, I mean, I don't know what the number is, but I think we had a really nice turnout. And as I said, it was really nice to see, we had a huge turnout for Washingtonville and the Rockland Pocket, which we know were two areas that really needed cleaning up. So that was nice to see. Mandy did an amazing job, as she does, with the raffle prizes. She got some really, really beautiful things and just paired them together, you know, made like little groupings, and it was just very colorful and pleasing. And I think everybody's really happy with what they got. It was nice that the mayor attended. Thank you, Lou, for attending. We had Trustee Lucas and Natchez there. And then, you know, the DPW, the Parks Department, the Rec Department, those guys are all just always so supportive of our event, and they help make it run smoothly. So I give a big shout out to them. And the compost give back that we had, I went around 11:45 and the truck was almost empty. And there was a line most of the day. So people really turned out for that. There is still compost if anybody needs at the DPW, because they didn't fill up the whole truck. And I
By the
think
way,
that,
Ellen, I thought the nicest part, one of the nicest parts of the event was that the residents got to see the people from DPW and give them a public acknowledgement and thanks for all the work they were doing. I thought that was really a nice touch.
yeah, I think it's, I agree, David, like that's why I like when people gather at the harbor, because I think it's just nice for everybody to sort of come together. These things don't just happen, right? And those guys work hard. So yeah, I think that's nice too. But anyway, I think that all in all, I was happy with how it went, and would love to hear everyone else's experiences.
I mean,
By the way, I was doing Orienta, which is never a huge cleanup, but I did walk up this time Old Post Road, and that was where things got kind of ugly.
the only, yeah, I was over at the Rockland Pocket, and like I was saying before the meeting officially started, Mandy sent those pictures to Jerry, and I just think that we do need to address that area. And I don't know what the suggestions are. I don't know if, I don't know what to do about it. There's just so much dumping over there that, okay, great. So we just cleared out so much stuff, and within a month, there will be like so many bottles and beer cans, et cetera, back in there. And I just don't know, you know, what the solution is.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should expect like the DPW to get in there and clean all that stuff out all the time. I mean, I guess it's more like our litter campaign and trying to address sort of the cause of the problem and try and get people to stop littering over there. I don't know.
Maybe
But
the
it was
cameras.
it was a mess.
Wow.
Is it like, you know, one person at a time dropping a can, or maybe is it dumping?
Oh no, no, I think honestly, I think a huge part of it's high school students.
Okay,
Bud Light won the day. Okay, so, you know, who drinks Bud Light? High school students.
okay.
It's cans, it's bottles, and it was Bud Light by a mile, hands down. Okay, and then there's also vodka bottles and there's all the rest of it, but I don't think it's the people who work in, you know, those buildings that's all industrial there. Some of it is probably litter from their lunches, not a lot.
Mhm.
That's not where most of this stuff's coming from. And it is mostly by the road, by Rockland, and it's from people just chucking it over the edge.
Mhm.
That's where the majority of it is, both sides.
Wow.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
there was some-
I think there's behind
Mhm.
all that commercial area. So we were near Phillips Park, then we went to Ward Park, and the other side of Ward Park. That's the picture I sent you with all that garbage in front of the no dumping sign. And there's just all these commercial properties back there that, you know, I don't think they're throwing it in, but I think it's, you know, one place had their fence kind of broken. And so, you know, stuff just falls in and it's gross. And the people, I have to say, I shouldn't say it on the, but people are kind of disgusting. Just from Phillips Park, just cigarette butts and candy wrappers from some restaurant that gives out little mints, as a giveaway, as well as just all kinds of pretty disgusting stuff. So it's hard to keep people from doing it,
Excuse me.
Bless you.
What's
Should have
the,
muted. I'm sorry. Can you explain to me where the Rockland Pocket is? I'm looking on the map here.
So it's Fayette and Rockland. Fayette Avenue and Rockland.
I don't think it's a real name.
It's
We
not,
made
that's
it- we
just what we
made it.
call it.
We made it up.
I think
We
Kate
did,
made
we
it up.
made it up.
it's actually it's a named site in the local waterfront protection plan, which is actually the environmental law of our village. It's a named site. The two, the little triangle and the big piece are named sites as being worthy of conserving and turning into, preserved, park areas. So
So
I sent that all to everybody, ages ago, but it's called that in the
It's
LWR.
Rockland and,
You know where Comcast is,
Fayette.
and
oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, got it. I got
so
it.
it's kind of behind there, and then a little towards Rockland.
The DPW just cleaned the river there.
Right.
Well, they left some stuff behind.
Oh, yeah, they
All
I can say.
took out about 20 truckloads though.
If you're driving on Rockland Avenue and you go over the highway, it intersects with Fayette, and there's a little, it looks almost like a little pocket. It's like a little area of land that's filled with invasives, but it's also, as Renee said, it's become a dumping ground for, I guess, well, I mean, yes, I guess it's beer cans for the kids and all that, but some of the stuff that Mandy sent looked like there was like motor oil and some more like industrial stuff that was.
There's
really
even
invasive.
cement that was dumped
Yeah.
there. There's a
And
big.
paint cans.
I tell you, I noticed, I live near Columbus Park, and I'll notice that coming down the Sheldrake sometimes, there's, you can tell somebody dumped something in the river. I mean, oil or kitchen grease or,
Horrible.
yeah, and that stuff tends to come down the Sheldrake. It doesn't come down the Mamaroneck.
Mhm.
Horrible.
Anyway.
I mean, I wonder, you've got all those businesses along there, including a bunch of landscapers
Mhm.
that back right onto the river in that general area. If we couldn't enlist them in some way, you know how like when you drive around New York City, own a highway and it's like this stretch of highway was cleaned by so-and-so. Because at the moment it's no man's land over there. I don't know, what do you think of that idea?
It's down the road. I think we can get to that. I mean, we got to get the rivers clear first, and then it's just so much to do, Kate. It's just
Right.
mind-boggling. But
Hey, Lou, does the village have any jurisdiction back there and over these businesses, or it's all private property? And
private property, we need. We have to get permission. I don't know all the details. I don't want to say too much, but we don't have carte blanche we can go down the river, or we can go down the middle of the river, but to use the bank, I mean, you've got to get access to it. I mean,
no, I more meant like if they're polluting, does somebody have jurisdiction, whether it's the county, the village,
sure.
the feds, to kind of impose some penalty on these
Yeah,
businesses?
yes. They're I don't know the
Right.
EP. There's a county environmental. I don't know all the details.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
I can make it up. It's not like I know what I'm talking about, but
you'll sound like you know what you're talking about.
Lou, I'm gonna have
that's
to.
right, Dan. I can fill you in on that.
I just want to push back a little because this Larchmont Pocket Triangle, which is on the southernmost end of the industrial zone up against the Sheldrake, is owned by the village, and all that shoreline there, and in fact that parking lot that's full of litter, is owned by the village. And the land on the other side of the river that backs up against where the thruway is, all that is owned by Mamaroneck Village. I've looked at the maps, I've
Yeah.
checked it out, because I'm interested. And then you've also got that salt shed. So there are a few spots where there are private businesses that go all the way down, but in most places, the village, or
In a
the,
lot of places, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
and here and there, it's the county, but mostly the village does own that land and has, full right of way to do whatever they need to do on it.
I
So,
know Jerry that's why we started with the property that we have access to.
Mhm.
And then we're going to the county, and then we'll take the next step. But
good.
and people are already starting to complain about, do we have the permits and stuff? And it's like,
Well, I think it's important to do it right, I mean, all this was being pointed out, many months ago, and I think it's important to do it correctly and to not, to do it in a environmentally sensitive matter. There's no contradiction
Mhm.
between the urgency of it and wanting to do it right.
absolutely.
The permits just don't take that long to get, it's just not that big of a deal.
Well, Jerry,
I
Jerry
brought up the
assures us we're not doing anything without permits.
Okay,
So,
well, there you go. Then
you know,
you're good. No problem.
I mean,
No problem.
if I won't say, my druthers would be to ask for forgiveness, but
What do you mean?
yes, there's two things you can do. You can ask for permission or forgiveness.
Go in, clean it up, and then if people complain.
Oh, I didn't know.
Sorry.
Yeah. But, like we talked about in this meeting, you've had trees that fell in, that happened in September. And then what happens is the tree is there and it slows down the water flow. So then any garbage that's coming is going to get snagged. And that also causes a buildup of silt. So one problem leads to another.
Yes.
But this is, we're almost June here. And so this is nothing new. I'm glad it's being treated as an emergency now, but.
Well, I'll tell you this, the 1.36 million we're spending this year, I mean, knock on wood, we won't need to do that every year. We're cleaning up 10 years of neglect, so
I
the
agree with
next
you.
year, so.
I just want to say, considering we brought this up like 2 months ago, and that it's already in progress and the process has started, is remarkable. That they're
I'm surprised. I am. I'm pleasantly surprised.
considering how long things take. I mean, but Jerry really stepped up, and to his credit.
But listen, without him, we can have all the ideas we want. If you don't have somebody that's willing to do it, it's not going to happen. And he's stepped up, and he's I got to tell you, he's taken heat for it. He's taken
Yes.
real heat. I mean, the snipers are out, but we'll do what we can. All right.
All right. So
Snipers.
sort of as a place saver, I have some of our climate smart community initiatives here, but I'm going to try to schedule a meeting soon. I haven't done that simply because I just know that there is a lot going on right now, particularly with the rivers. And I want to wait for the right time to get the attention. And we were put on hold with the stretch code, which was sort of disappointing, but that's going to be more, I think, of an August timeframe. So really none of these things have advanced. So I'm just going to move forward to food scrap recycling, where there is a meeting on May 23rd that I'll be attending with Jerry and the head of the DPW to assess the program, to assess the pilot. At that point, the pilot will be nearing its end, which I believe it ends June 1st. And we had 246 signups as of May 5th, but I think since then we've gotten like 20 or 30 more because of our promotion. And in case anybody isn't aware of it, I guess Jerry wanted to reach 300 households by June 1st. So he, out of his own pocket, was funding a free raffle to anybody that signed up between May 9th and June 1st was entered into a free raffle for a family membership at the Village Beach. And then to sort of add on to that, I had the idea of going out to our existing participants, the 246, with a sort of tell a neighbor idea, hey, the truck's coming down your street anyway. And a lot of times the truck just has one house on a street. So tell a neighbor, try to get a neighbor. And that seems to have, those initiatives have seemed to have been fairly effective. And what's so interesting is, so Robert Ingenito actually reached out to two of his neighbors. And here he is, the public information officer for the village. And those two neighbors didn't even know about this. And it's so mind-boggling to me, because despite the fact that he has that weekly newsletter and that we, message us on social media and we send out emails, it just still gets by people. So I really encourage everyone just to sort of, word of mouth is so powerful. And I think we really just need to do more of that. And it's not always an easy ask to ask people to put another bin in their house and separate food scraps. It's like, at this point for me, it seems like a no-brainer, but it's really not. It's something, it's a change of habit. And it's not always so easy to ask. And it was very interesting when I went to get compost at the DPW yesterday, there's a guy there who was like shoveling a whole, I think 2 big bins. So he was actually really enjoying that compost. And I guess I happened to ask him, I said, "Oh, are you in the food scrap program?" And he said, "Do you want a true answer?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Actually, no." So he didn't want to take the time to separate his food scraps, but he was loving the end product. And I said, "Well, why, I said, isn't it better to have this
That
great
compost
compost,
bag.
and have your food being burned in the incinerator?" And then he basically pushed back, said, "Well, the more important things, I see people putting out tires and couches to the curb, and those are big items and those shouldn't be burned." And I'm like, okay. But, it's just so interesting where people sort of, you have to, I guess, meet them where they are. So he really loved the compost, but, not my food scraps. But I think our biggest sort of ambassador that we have is Robert at the DPW. He's amazing. He
I
just,
love him. He's the sweetest guy.
he's such a cheerleader for this.
He's the best.
So I think we may reach that 300, which is exciting. I think that we're on a path to do that. And one of the things I've been trying to get, which I don't know, I got yes, but nothing's happened yet, is we need new signage in our village, because I think that, that's another way to sort of reach out to people. And I think people have gotten used to seeing the signs we've had for years, that we have a food scrap program, but we need the new sign saying, hey, we also have pickup. And I think that really needs to happen soon. So I will make a point to mention that at that meeting.
I did see the lawn, the leaf blower sign on the portable thing.
You did?
Yes,
Where?
in Orienta.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see that.
Me neither.
So, the other day I was driving up, I said, "Oh, Ellen must have talked to somebody."
Wait, where was it, Lou?
Can't remember exactly now.
Was it on Orienta Avenue?
It was, I was on my way to the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club. So it was along that route.
Oh, that's Shore Acres.
North Barry
That's
Avenue. That'll be
Shore
Shore Acres then, right?
Oh, okay. David, have you seen it?
No,
Okay.
No, but it said leaf blower ban, but it had the dates. It was
That's
the,
cool.
it was doing all that.
Nice.
The other thing I want to ask you, and I don't mean to take up your time, but where do you put your food scraps? Because I'm thinking about it, and we're having a conversation with my wife. She goes, "You're not leaving it on the counter," and I'm like, well, "Where do you put them?"
Under the sink,
Yeah, okay.
under the
Well,
sink.
I'll tell you, in my kitchen, I have the 3-gallon bin. I guess that's the smaller one.
Yeah.
I keep it on my kitchen counter because I use it all the time. And I want it to be very accessible. And I've sort of gotten blind to it. It's just there. And then the big tote, I actually, now that we do, I put it out to the curb. I have to go put it out tonight. I just keep that on my front porch.
All right. Countertop's going to be a tough sell to my wife, but
Yeah, under the sink. Then she doesn't have to look at it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Well, it
Ellen,
doesn't, I mean, I have it on the countertop. It's not actually that offensive.
I don't think it's
Doesn't
that
smell or
offensive.
anything.
I've got 2 composts because I compost my own stuff. And then I have the village compost for the stuff that I don't want to put in my own compost. So I have them both under the sink.
Oh, interesting.
hey, Ellen, is
Yeah.
the 300 number arbitrary, or it's just like, if we reach that, it's a good goal, or do we need it for cost effectiveness?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer. My hunch is arbitrary, and it just sounds like a good number, and it's a number that is still manageable for the route. that they have the capacity to pick up at 300 homes.
Okay.
Because I think if it would grow too much, then it would create, staffing issues. We do need a new truck to do this on a more, ongoing basis. It's still a makeshift operation, I would call it. I just hope that that it just continues, that there's not a stopgap, like a stop and go. I think that would be really detrimental.
Yeah, I just got a bunch of my friends to start, so please don't stop it now.
Yeah, no, I will.
That'll be the end of that.
Yeah, thank
I
you
can
for
tell,
that.
I can tell you that the board that needs people to vote for them is very, very aware that it's very popular. So I don't think you should worry about it too much.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I think that, I'll just share this because we have a little time in this funny story. So I thought my idea to go out to the existing 246, I just felt like whoever would like the early adopters, like they're all in, right? Like they love composting. They're happy that there's pickup and whatever. But somebody did get upset that the raffle was just for new customers and didn't extend to existing. They felt like that was very exclusionary and penalizing. And I was just like, you can't please everybody, but I just thought like, who better to be ambassadors than people that are doing this, right? Like if their truck is on your street anyway, but so I guess we did upset one customer. I tried to smooth it over though, but it wasn't a thank you gift. It was an incentive to sort of grow the program.
It's like $100 to get your COVID shot. If you would get in the city, if you got it early, you didn't get
You
your
didn't
100
get it, exactly. Mhm.
Never mind. So yeah, so please help talk this up. I think I think it's great. I mean, there's so many municipalities that do not have this and people would love to have it. We should be appreciative and just try to really nurture it. I think that's pretty much the end of the agenda. And I don't know if anybody has anything else. I think the meeting tomorrow night will be very interesting. We should all just sort of stay, up to date on the whereabouts of that.
Well, where's the information about live streaming it?
Robert, did
Oh,
you
no,
get
no,
that
no,
email
no.
earlier today? Did you get that? If not, I could forward it to the committee.
Ellen, there were two items on the agenda that I missed about visits to the incinerator and something else,
Yeah,
wheelabrator and
Yeah.
when do those things happen?
okay, so yeah, there are two tours, Lou. One is it's called Compost Ed, and that's in Valhalla. And it's the county food waste education site.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 45-minute tour. And that's on June 6th at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to attend, I need to know because they need a count.
Well, that I'm interested in the wheelabrator.
The wheelabrator is May 25th at 9:30, and that's in Peekskill.
May 25th,
Yeah,
9:30. Okay,
9:30.
I'm very
Is
interested in that.
Is the incinerator tour the same as the compost ed for the notes purposes?
When you say, is it the same? What do you mean?
I mean, there are three tours? There's two tours. One
There's
is
two tours.
one is the wheelabrator, and then you just said there was one called the incinerator. the
Oh,
incinerator
I'm sorry.
tour.
The wheelabrator is the name of the incinerator,
Yeah, it's not
Okay,
really.
so that's the same tour on the 25th,
right?
and
And then
compost ed is on the June 6th.
exactly. So two tours. Yeah, yeah.
I got it.
So,
And the purpose of the tours are what?
The purpose of the tours, what gave me the idea, I was saying this earlier, is that I was on a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and I forget who sponsored this webinar because I just do too many of these. And they showed a film called The Sacrifice Zone, which is an incinerator in Newark, New Jersey. And it was talking about all the ill health effects of people that live in that area and why incinerators are so bad. And then in the chat box, this woman who I get all of her emails, she's, a climate activist. Her name is Ann Jaffe, I think. And she said that she was going to organize tours of the Wheelabrator facility in Peekskill if anybody was interested. And I was. So I reached out to her and I've now gotten 15 people to go. And then she suggested also doing the compost ed, which is why we're doing that as well.
Do you know who, do you know Courtney Williams?
Courtney Williams was going to come to the
Mhm.
Wheelabrator, and I think that she's not able to make that date.
Okay, all right. I just, okay. That's her thing. The Wheeler.
Yeah, so she's the one that she's trying to shut down Peekskill. Is that who Courtney is?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. So she was on that webinar. She spoke and yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah, she's an interesting woman.
Yeah, she's a force. I think it's like the Westchester Alliance of something. It was the
Yeah.
acronym was WASS.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it is like in the 80s when they started it, I was working, and what a great idea. Burn the garbage and make electricity. Problem solved. And then you find out that we're not just burning garbage, we're burning all the plastic too. And so every solution creates another problem. For everything, nothing's a perfect solution. That's what I think the Wheelabrator is a good example of.
You know what? I completely agree because I'd always heard that as well, that, oh, well, it creates electricity, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning is that it's not the best way to create electricity.
You'd be better off with a coal-fired plant there.
Yeah. So it's, for people that live near these things, it's really a mess. I don't know what the alternative is, though. I wouldn't want to live next to a landfill either.
No, I'm interested in that. So that's why I wanted to hear about it. Hey, I don't want to keep you.
Okay, no, it's fine. Wait, so which one should I RSVP for you, Lou? Or you want to just let me know?
Wheelabrator.
Okay, because they want names and account because they could do up to 25 people. So if I don't have 25, they may just add people into our group. So I want to make sure that you're counted.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Wheelabrator.
Okay, great.
Right.
Great.
Ellen, I'm going to sign up and join you for both of those things. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to learn more how.
I mean, I think with those incinerators, it also depends how they're designed. Like if they have a lot of mechanisms to capture, the particulate and what have you, and do things to it, it works better. I don't think it's ever perfect, but it's just like with anything, if you're treating sewage, how well are you treating it and how many times are you treating it? Are you capturing all the stuff,
I mean, if our waste stream were cleaner, it would be fine. You, for instance, you could burn our compost in it and it would be fine.
Mhm.
But the plastics that food are wrapped in and all that stuff, that's what really causes the problem. That's what I understand. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, but it'll be great to learn more.
Yeah. I sent out the information for the ACE meeting tomorrow night to get it online. So
Great, thanks.
all right, well.
I'll look for your resolutions and I'll put them on the work session agenda.
David, you're okay doing that?
What do you mean?
Well, you're a resident attorney. You're a
Well,
resident guy.
I think I made the resolution, should be reflected in the minutes, right? Do we need a separate resolution?
Oh, Dan, did you get a?
These minutes are going to be a little abbreviated, but I can send.
We have a novice minute taker tonight.
If you want me to do
All
something.
right,
but
I can send you. I'll write something up.
If you don't write something down, you're gonna end up with whatever I remember, which may not.
I wrote it down. I just didn't go into a ton of detail.
Okay.
If you want me to review it after you.
Yeah, I'll put something together.
Happy
and
to do
send it.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll put it on the agenda and I'll ask them to talk about it and put it on, and express their, it'll be asking them to direct the staff to do this. Okay, that's it.
All right, well, Liam, I hope you feel better.
Yes, thank you.
Whole thing.
You're very quiet.
He's
Oh.
sick.
I got COVID.
Lou wasn't on when he announced
Oh.
it.
Sorry, I'm sorry about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's in the forest with COVID.
Yes, I put the dark background on.
His wife sent him into the woods.
Oh, I'm definitely in there. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, guys, I'm gonna make a motion to end our meeting. It's great seeing
Okay.
everyone tonight.
Great meeting.
Second, third,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So long.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.